Greetings metalheads and welcome to another edition of the Friday 13th YouTube channel. I hope you're doing well. I'm doing good. So I'd like to thank everybody who has subscribed so far. If you haven't, please do, it's free. There's some great interviews on there and there's plenty more to come. So today you're going to be listening to an audio interview which was done with Lita Ford, a fantastic guitarist and singer, definitely underrated as a guitarist, without a matter of a doubt. So this interview was done in 2012 for the album Living Like a Runaway. As we all know, Lita Ford was in a band with Joan Jett called the Runaways back in the 70s, another cool band. So please take this interview for what it is, enjoy, please share on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. So take care, be safe, and like I say, more interviews are coming. Thanks for watching and listening, guys. Cheers.
Yes, hi Jason.
Hi Lita, how are you? Okay then Lita, so thank you for doing this interview. This is the first time I've interviewed you for my website. First of all, I'd just like to ask you a little bit about your background influences. What came first with you, guitar or vocals, when you were younger?
Oh, definitely guitar. I wasn't really a vocalist. I wasn't even interested in being a vocalist. And in the Runaways days, I stayed with guitar and I sang background vocals. But I really just wanted to be a guitar player, and I focused mainly on that. And when the Runaways broke up, I wanted to put together a solo project, and I couldn't find a lead singer. So I ended up doing it myself, which was difficult because I didn't want to just play rhythm guitar. I wanted to play lead guitar. And it's hard to play lead guitar and sing lead vocals at the same time.
Yeah.
It's a whole different animal, you know? Rather than just strumming a few chords and trying to get through the lead vocals, it's a challenge when you're playing lead and singing.
Right, so who influenced you as a guitar player then? Which musicians influenced you to pick up the guitar?
Oh, I really loved Ritchie Blackmore. I gotta say, he was my idol. Ritchie Blackmore, Black Sabbath, I loved Tony Iommi. I loved Johnny Winter, Jimi Hendrix, Jimmy Page. You know, a lot of the lead singer / guitar players I loved.
Right.
I loved the three-piece. That Jimi Hendrix was able to play lead guitar and only have a bass player and a drummer in his band.
You like power trios,
nobody
basically.
else in that band. Yeah.
Right, okay.
That's how I started.
Right, okay. I was wondering how you started. I'd just like to say that I think you are totally underrated as a guitar player. I always have done. I think you should be recognised for your hard work as a guitarist. I don't know why you don't recognise enough, but I think you should be, because you have your own sound and style, and not many guitarists can do that. What is your success to being unique and standing out from the rest?
I don't, you know, I think a lot of the reason why I'm underrated in some people's minds is because, first of all, I'm a female, and they find it difficult to accept the fact that I can play guitar. They look at me, they're watching me play, and it still doesn't register in their brains that I'm playing guitar. It's the weirdest thing. There's a clip on YouTube of me jamming with Tony Iommi.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Right, it's an all guitar players show, and it was different guitar players that would come up and jam, and then you'd get off, and then another guitar player would come up and jam, and so on. And somebody said, "Oh, that's really not her playing. There's somebody hiding behind the curtain." And I thought, what? You gotta be kidding me. Unbelievable. I mean, just any excuse to not give me the credit.
Because you're a woman, basically.
Yeah, right? Because
Yeah.
I have tits and instead of a cock and balls hanging between my legs. You know, it's just, really, I really need a dick to play guitar. Maybe I'd just use it as a slide.
Right, yeah, maybe like Steel Panther do, I don't know, you know. Or Lips from Anvil. He has a vibrator on his guitar, so maybe you should try it yourself.
Right on.
Oh, right, because I just totally think you're totally underrated, and every time I hear Lita Ford, you can tell straight away it's your guitaring. And a lot, you know, it's like, you got that squeaky, sort of clean sound, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I've real thick vibrato, and I mean, it's definitely Lita Ford sound, you know, it's...
But nobody's copied you, that's the thing. Nobody's tried to do Lita Ford as a male or female. It's just yourself, and that's it.
Yeah, well, nobody can yet, but I think there'll be a lot of women guitar players soon.
Right, because you're sponsored by BC Rich. Have you always played BC Rich?
No, I started playing BC Rich in the early 80s, mid 80s. My first guitar was a Gibson SG that I had, and then from there I started playing Hammers, the Explorer models.
Yeah, that was more like a Motley Crue and Judas Priest thing back in the 80s. Everybody's like, them sort of bands were using those then, weren't they? So.
Yeah, they were very popular back then. They're not so much anymore. They just don't have the bite that they used to have. But I still have my old Hammers that I used always, and they were, I loved them. They were magnificent. And then from there I went to BC Rich, and I've been with BC Rich ever since. It's been real good
guitars, yeah?
Sorry?
Sorry, they're real good guitars.
I think they were. When the owner of the company died, Bernie Rico Sr. passed away, I think BC Rich took a nosedive. And recently, the company has been bought out by a man named Bill Xavier. And Bill has recreated the original BC Riches. He bought in Kerry King, he bought in Neil Giraldo, he bought in myself, and other people that were real true to BC Rich guitars, and he copied their old original guitars to a T. They've been measured, we picked out the wood, the pickups, everything has been matched and duplicated, and now the old original BC Riches are starting to make their way back. Bill has really hand-picked his crew that work for him, and he's recreating these beautiful guitars again. And now I have a signature model that was just released on August the 1st that's for sale, BC Rich Warlock with the red hourglass on it. That's for sale as of August the 1st.
With the Lita Ford signature, I presume.
Yes.
Oh, well, I have to buy one. Just to have in my living room, you know, just hanging from the wall.
You got to. Yeah.
Well, excellent. So let's move on to like your debut albums. Out for Blood. Looking back at that album, how do you see it now? Do you think it was a success for a debut solo album? How much success did it bring you?
It was huge. It was my first album as a three-piece band. It was my statement saying, I can play guitar. That was my big statement, that record. Because if you look at it, there's only Dusty Watson on the drums and Neil Merriweather on bass. And there's no one else on guitar but me. So it really made people look towards me, and it made them accept me as a guitar player, whether they wanted to or not. There was nowhere else to look. You know what I mean? Like if we shot a video or, you know, someone took a photograph, there was nobody else's photograph once the solo part came up. Everyone had to look at Lita. So once I established that and I won over people as a guitar player, then I was able to add a second guitar player so I could front the band more and put the guitar down on occasions and be more of a showman, more of a front man, because you're very limited when you have a guitar strapped around your chest. You can't only do so much.
Right, okay, then moving on to the next album is Dancing on the Edge. That is my favourite album. I love it. I bought that when it first came out, and it's still my favourite all-time classic album by you. What songs on that album stood out for you, and why?
Oh, I love that album. It's the very last album we did before we had keyboards. It's a true rock and roll album. I don't know. Dancing on the Edge has always been one of my favorite tracks too. We play it live, and it just really hits home. Fond memories, and it was a great time in my life. Have you heard the new album, Jason?
Yeah, I've got it. I've reviewed it for you already.
Oh, awesome.
It's a good album. It's a good comeback. I mean, like Dancing on the Edge, I remember there was one video you was dressed up in a room washing the dishes, and then the next minute you've got this, I think, is it a rubber cat suit you're wearing? And you get this guy with your guitar and pin him against the wall. Is that
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that video, man. I love it. Absolutely.
It's one of the very first videos ever to be played on MTV.
It's really cheesy, but then again, saying that, all the videos in the 80s were cheesy, but it was a brilliant song. It just, whoa, I love the album. It's like, there's not one bad song on the album at all. And, I would really like to see you on the next album do Dancing on the Edge Part 2, if that ever could happen.
Right on.
I think the next album should be Dancing on the Edge Part 2. Just bring back the balls.
Right on, I'll keep that in mind, absolutely.
So the next question is for you, Lita. Next album was Lita. I mean, that was a really success for you. Dancing, Close My Eyes Forever with Ozzy Osbourne, Sharon managing you. I mean, that must have been the highest peak in your career. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, so far it has been. So far it has been the highest peak in my career, but I don't think my highest peak has yet to come. I still think it's in the future. Even though the music industry has changed and people don't buy CDs and they download everything, I don't give a shit. I still think my highest peak is yet to come.
Right.
Music is not going to go away.
No.
Not going to just. Somebody's got to keep the fire burning, and I just think I'm one of those people. So, as big as the Lita album was, I still think that I've got a long way to go. But that was a great time in my life. Yet again, Sharon Osbourne did an amazing job with me, and I loved her dearly. And I absolutely look back on those days and those times, and rock stars were everywhere. It was like, geez, the Nikki Sixx and Lemmy Kilminster, and all the musicians that played on that record. It's just a really great record.
Right, yeah, because you did some really big concerts as well, like I say, supporting Bon Jovi, and then after that you went on to what's your favourite songs off the Lita album? Which one stood out for you?
My favourite songs off the Lita album?
Yeah.
Well, oh, God. I don't know. Probably Kiss Me Deadly and Close My Eyes.
Yeah, good video, Kiss Me Deadly.
Huh?
It's a good video, Kiss Me Deadly.
And Falling in and Out of Love. Falling in and Out of Love was really good, too. It's so much fun to play that live.
Wow, and I mean, after that, when you went down to Stiletto, I mean, that album was not as heavy as Lita or Dancing on the Edge. You seem to have, mellowed out a little bit on that album. Was there a reason why you sort of, didn't play as heavy as music for the Stiletto album?
I forgot what we were talking about.
I was asking about the Stiletto album. Why? Well, it seemed that album seemed to be not as heavy as Lita or Dancing on the Edge. You seem to have gone a bit not as heavy on that album for some reason. What was the reason?
Oh God, I don't know. I went through a really messed up period in my life where my father passed away, and then my mother passed away, and the record company had changed all of the staff, and I wasn't familiar with anybody at the label. It was a whole brand new bunch of people, and I felt lost, losing my parents. I lost both my parents back to back, and it was a weird time in my life, and I think I was distracted by it, and I don't know, I wanted to, I was feeling pain, and, songs like Only Women Bleed is on that record, and that record it became more personable, I think, and I remember, too, Ozzy and Sharon having a top 10 hit single. With Ozzy, it was because his album, not his album, but Close My Eyes Forever, wasn't so heavy. It's a ballad. And it was able to reach top 10 because it wasn't so heavy, which was wild because I thought, how can Black Sabbath not have had a top 10 hit single? They're amazing. And because they were so heavy, they didn't have a top 10 hit single. So, I don't know. It's headspace. It's all headspace.
Wow, okay then. So Dangerous Curves was the next one. I mean, how do you see that compared to, like, Stiletto? Do you think that was kind of a comeback album with what's happened to you, like you said, with you losing your mother and father? Do you think that kind of brought a bit of heaviness back in your music?
Stiletto was co-written by Holly Knight.
Who's that, please, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm sorry?
Who's that, if you don't mind me asking?
Holly Knight is a songwriter. She wrote Missing You.
Oh, yeah.
For John Waite. She wrote Simply the Best for Tina Turner. She wrote, let's see, big stuff. Oh, God.
Yeah, she did quite a lot.
A lot of Tina Turner stuff, yeah.
Right.
A lot of stuff. The Private Dancer album was mainly Holly Knight and Mike Chapman. But she's got a little bit of she's not so heavy, she's not so guitar-orientated, she's more keyboard-orientated when she writes.
So she bases the vocal harmonies around the keyboards as opposed to the guitar then, basically? Yeah,
she does. Yeah, which I don't do, I do the opposite. But, I don't know, it's all headspace, and it's all where your life is at that period in time that you do write an album. It affects your writing, and it affects your sound, and what you're trying to say at the time. Like, Living Like a Runaway was written at one of the darkest, most miserable times of my life. And that's why it's such an aggressive album, because there's a lot of anger in that record and emotions.
Yeah, I've noticed on that. Reading some of the lyrics and listening to the new album, you can tell that you've gone through quite a rough time. And you can also feel the darkness in the music, how strong some of the music is, how dark and detuned some of the guitars sound compared to the old Lita Ford guitar sound. It's got a bit of a detuned.
It really does.
Yeah, definitely. Okay then, so you came back later on with the Wicked Wonderland. Why did you go off the scene for so long? What was the reason? Is it because you was married and you had children, or what happened there?
Yeah.
You pretty much, I was missing you. I was like, where's Lita gone? No music, nothing.
Yeah, I know. I missed me too. It was Wicked Wonderland was an album that was put out by my ex-husband, and it's pretty much his record with my name on it. I didn't have much control over it, and it's definitely not a Lita Ford record.
So what do you mean when you said you had no control of it? You must have had some control. You must, I don't like this song, I want to change that part. Or is it just like, you will write this music and play it, sort of thing?
No, not with him around.
Right.
He was an absolute control freak.
I've been there, done that. I've been there and done that, Lita. I know what you mean. It's terrible.
Yep. It's terrible. I know you can't be yourself.
No.
It's impossible. You cannot be yourself, which is, being a control freak. I really didn't have any control over that record. You can see why.
Yeah. So basically what you're saying is, like, the new album is basically what would have been Wicked Wonderland. So do you think you will do a Dancing on the Edge Part 2 for the next album? Will you bring back the metal to Lita?
It's hard to say. It's hard to say. I just got to keep. I just got to keep plodding through, and I'm so in love with Living Like a Runaway, the album. I'm so pleased with it that I don't want to lose that feeling and that vibe, and I want to keep the next album like a spin-off of Living Like a Runaway, because I'm back on track now, and I want to stay there.
Yeah, don't let anybody knock you down later.
No, absolutely, never again.
So, I mean, this new album, it was produced by yourself and Gary Hurley. I mean, how long did it take to record this album?
1 year it took to record this album. Gary and I started the very first snowfall of 2011. No, it was 2010. Wait, 2011, sorry.
Okay.
It was 2011, the very first snowfall. I believe it was February or March of 2011. And as the plane landed, it was the very first snowfall of the year. And I remember looking around thinking, wow, this is so beautiful, because we were in such a empty, serene place. There was nobody, there was nothing. It was just beautiful mountains and these gorgeous trees.
So where was that then? Was it Canada or somewhere? Was it Colorado?
Spain.
Spain?
New Hampshire.
Sorry?
New Hampshire.
Okay, right, okay.
Which is right below Maine, so it's quite north in the United States. It's almost to Canada.
Right.
And when we finished the album, it was the very last snowfall of 2012. So it took us 1 year to make the record.
Is that to do with the fact that you had to go through court to get divorced and all that bullshit that goes with it? Is that why it took you so long to get this album actually finished?
Yes and no, because I didn't really spend a lot of time focusing on my divorce. I left that to the lawyers, and I wanted to visit my kids, which was one reason why I did come back from Maine. I would have just stayed in Maine, but I went back and forth from Maine to Fort Lauderdale, Florida, to see my children, who my husband refuses to let me see.
That
now.
Sucks. The mother should have the children, but
I agree with you.
That's how it goes in England. The mothers always seem to get the children, and the fathers have access when they can. So,
well, the court just were the court system in Florida. I don't understand why they allowed him to keep those kids, because he had fucked them up so severely that they should not have been allowed to even live or visit him. He has done so much damage to those kids. And now it's complete parental alienation, severe parental alienation. He has alienated those boys from their mother. I can't even get a text message from them.
Oh, that sucks.
I can't. They won't answer the phone. They're living on that fucking island in the Caribbean. There's nothing there. There's no school. There's no friends. There's no mother. It's terrible. My son is only 11 years old.
Yeah, I think I met your sons when you was at Bang Your Head. I think they were both with you, I think, if I remember rightly.
Yeah, I had my boys with me. I used to take them with me everywhere. We were inseparable.
Yeah. Must be bad.
Which is, what the song Mother is about.
Yeah, I was reading the lyrics and listening to it as I was reviewing it. No, it's bad.
Yeah.
It's really, really bad. But there's...
So, they'll be back, though. Those boys will be back because they have my heart. And that's going to drive them. That's what's going to steer them for the rest of their life.
So moving on, so the album took over a year to record. I mean, did you have the same musicians on this album as you did as to Wicked Wonderland?
Did I have to what?
The same musicians on the new album as you had for the last album?
No, actually, Living Like a Runaway is just me and Gary. Me and Gary played keyboards. Me and Gary played the guitars. Gary played bass. We did bring in Matt Scurfield, who is Gary's drummer, and we used him for 3 days, and that was it. There's really nobody else. Oh, the only other musician on it is the Uptown Horns. They played on the Bitch's Back. There's a horn arrangement on the Bitch's Back.
Right, there's the 2 bonus tracks I haven't heard yet, but I have the CD in my hand now. I haven't listened to them yet because I got a digital download from George at SPV.
Oh, you got to hear the bonus tracks.
I will do. I've only got it today, so I will listen to it later. But there is one song on the album that's got a really heavy sound to it, and it's Devil in My Head. It's got a real detuned guitar sound. That's probably about the heaviest song on the album. Do you agree?
Yeah, well, you haven't heard Bad Neighborhood. That's the bonus track. But Devil in My Head is pretty nasty, and I love it.
It'd be a good song to play live. It'd be a good song to play live.
Yeah, we do. We play it live. I use the double neck when I play live, and I play the riff on the 6th string, and then in the bridge where the angels come in, you know, it's sometimes the angels are watching over me to rescue me. I click it over to the 12th string, and I play this real pretty strumming part.
Is that the double? Really nice. Is that the double neck guitar that you have? Is that the double guitar in one? Yeah. Wow, excellent. So what songs for you stand out on the new album, and why? Could you briefly tell me what each song's about, just so we get some sort of idea, please?
Well, we start the set off with The Bitch's Back.
Right. So you're no bitch, Lita. You're beautiful. You're no bitch. Please don't say that about yourself.
Yeah, thank you. And we do, let's see, what else we play live? We play Bad Neighborhood, Hate, Relentless, Living Like a Runaway, Devil in My Head, and what am I missing?
The Mask. It's The Mask.
The Mask we don't do live because we don't have a keyboard player. We didn't bring keyboards with us on this tour. You know, we're touring with Def Leppard and Poison right now.
Yeah, no, I heard you were doing that. That must be pretty cool for you. So thank you very much for doing this interview, Lita. I hope you have a fantastic tour. And I hope to meet you soon, and I will send you some photos from Bang Your Head.
I look forward to seeing them.
Thank you, Lita. Enjoy yourself and take care.
Bye, Jason.
Thank you. Bye-bye now. Bye.